Some of these trucks were built in factories that no longer exist, by companies that went bankrupt, by engineers who have been gone for 50 years, and they are still on American highways today. Not in museums, not in parades, on actual freight runs, hauling actual loads, making actual money for the operators who know what they have. These are the forgotten giants, the brands that history passed over but never fully buried. 10 vintage big rigs that refuse to die. Number 10. The Brockway Husky. Overdrive magazine once named the Brockway the most rugged truck in the world. That distinction, given by the most authoritative trucking publication in America, was not hyperbole. It was a technical assessment of what the Brockway Motor Company built in Cortland, New York, for 65 years. The Brockway story begins in 1875, when William Brockway founded the Brockway Carriage Works in Homer, New York, building horse-drawn wagons and carriages. After William's death in 1889, his son George took over the business. By 1909, George had made the pivot to motorized vehicles, and by 1912 the company was formally incorporated as the Brockway Motor Truck Company and operating from a new factory in Cortland. The first truck built was a Model A, delivered to the Miller Corset Company of Cortland, a quiet local beginning for what would become one of the most respected heavy truck names in American history. What defined Brockway's identity was not volume. The company never chased the mass market but quality and consistency. Brockway trucks were built primarily for the East Coast market, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New England, where roads were old, loads were heavy, and operators demanded machines that would start every morning, regardless of weather, and work every day, regardless of conditions. Municipalities used Brockways for road maintenance and snow removal. Breweries, dairy farms, oil companies, and meat packers bought them for their reliability and longevity. Some Brockway trucks remained in active daily service 40 years after the factory closed. The Brockway hood ornament was a husky dog in pulling harness, the mascot that gave Cortland its nickname, Husky Town, USA. The company used Cummins and Detroit diesel engines in most of their Class 8 trucks, with some models powered by gasoline Hercules inline-6 engines. In 1962, Brockway landed a contract to supply heavy trucks to the U.S. Navy and Air Force. In 1967, they introduced the Husky Drive, a proprietary drivetrain advancement that demonstrated genuine engineering ambition from a company that most of the industry had written off as a regional niche player. Mack Trucks acquired Brockway in August 1956, operating it as an autonomous subsidiary for more than 2 decades. But the partnership ultimately failed. In June 1977, Mack cited union troubles and closed the Cortland factory permanently. After 65 years of production, the Brockway was gone. Or was it? The Cortland community's love for the Brockway has never faded. The Brockway Truck Preservation Association organizes an annual National Brockway Truck Show in Cortland that draws hundreds of enthusiasts. The CNY Living History Center maintains the largest Brockway collection in existence, and the trucks themselves, those virtually indestructible machines that Overdrive called the most rugged in the world, continue appearing at job sites and farms, pulled out of barns after decades of storage and found to still be mechanically sound. One owner discovered a Brockway in a barn after 40 years and drove it to a truck show. The dent he had put in the fender decades earlier was still there, so was everything else. Number 9. The Diamond Reo. The Diamond Reo carries 2 separate histories into a single badge. Histories that begin with 2 of the most remarkable entrepreneurs in American industrial life. The diamond half of the name traces to C.A. Tilt, who founded the Diamond T Motor Car Company in Chicago in 1905. Diamond T built trucks that were famous for their style. The company marketed them for decades as the handsomest truck in America, and the claim was legitimate. Diamond T trucks from the 1930s through the 1960s were genuinely beautiful machines with aluminum grille surrounds, chrome details, and design sensibility that their competitors rarely matched. The Reo half traces to Ransom E. Olds, the man who founded Oldsmobile and then left it, founding a second company using his own initials in Lansing, Michigan in August 1904. Reo began building trucks in 1908. And by 1915 had introduced the legendary Reo Speed Wagon, a 3/4-ton truck that became one of the best vehicles of its era and the direct ancestor of the modern pickup truck concept. When the White Motor Company, which had acquired both Diamond T in 1958 and Reo in 1957, merged the two brands in May 1967 to form the Diamond Reo Trucks division, it created something genuinely unusual, a truck nameplate whose two founding fathers collectively invented both the streamlined American commercial truck and the modern pickup truck. The Diamond Reo that emerged from this merger was built in Lansing, Michigan, and offered in medium and heavy-duty configurations with engines from Cummins, Detroit Diesel, and Caterpillar. The C116 series, introduced in the early 1970s, featured Cummins NTC35, NTC350, and NTA370 power plants alongside Detroit Diesel 12-volt 71N units, serious engines for serious work. The Diamond Reo Raider Conventional and the Giant Cabover became the brand's signature models. In 1971, White sold the Diamond Reo division to independent investor Francis Capert, who kept production running in Lansing until the company filed for bankruptcy on December 6, 1974. Within a year, entrepreneurs Loyal Osterland and Ray Hausau purchased the Diamond Reo brand rights and restarted production in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, building the C11-6 Giant model with Cummins NTC 2090 engines. The Harrisburg operation continued under several ownership changes, all the way to 2010, meaning Diamond Reo trucks were in continuous production for 43 years under the Diamond Reo badge. The surviving examples from both the Lansing era and the Harrisburg revival are actively preserved and shown, carrying the combined legacies of C8 Tilt and Ransom E-Olds wherever they go. Number 8. The GMC Astro 95. When the GMC Astro 95 arrived for the 1969 model year, it replaced the previous GMC Cracker Box, a boxy, brutalist cabover that truckers used with respect but rarely admired. The Astro was a completely different proposition. It was, by any reasonable assessment, the best-styled cabover engine semi-truck produced in America at the time, and possibly the most beautiful cabover General Motors ever built. The design came from the GM Design Center, and it showed. Where the Cracker Box was pure function, the Astro 95 was function with genuine aesthetic ambition. The exterior featured rounded body corners and wraparound windshield glass that gave the driver panoramic visibility unprecedented in a Class 8 cabover. The interior was designed around the driver. The speedometer and tachometer were placed directly in the line of sight, while secondary gauges were positioned off to the side based on their frequency of use, an ergonomic innovation that most other manufacturers wouldn't adopt for years. The 95 designation referenced the cab's 95-inch bumper-to-back-of-cab dimension, which was achieved by stretching the cab nearly 6 inches beyond the Cracker Box's 48-inch BBC. 2 sleeper configurations were available, and a wraparound dashboard made the interior feel genuinely spacious by the standards of the era. GM originally intended to offer an Allison gas turbine engine alongside the diesel options, but fuel economy concerns killed the project after 2 years of testing. The standard Detroit Diesel 6-71N was offered alongside the 8-Voy 71, and in 1972 the Detroit Diesel 12-Voy 71 became available, a V12 diesel option that made the Astro 95 genuinely extraordinary for operators who needed maximum power. In 1977, the Cummins KT450 and Caterpillar 3406 joined the option list. In 1975, GMC introduced the drag-foiler roof spoiler as an option, one of the earliest aerodynamic accessories in American trucking. UPS ran fleets of Astro 95s for years. Major carriers used them coast to coast. When Chevrolet exited the heavy truck segment in 1981, the Astro continued under the GMC badge alone until 1987, when the Volvo-GM joint venture was created and production ended. General Motors has not marketed another Class 8 cabover truck since, making the Astro 95 the final chapter in GM's heavy truck heritage, and a design that deserves far more recognition than it typically receives. Number 7. The Ford LTL-9000. Louisville. Most people don't think of Ford when they think of classic big rigs. That's understandable. Ford hasn't produced heavy trucks since the late 1990s, and their presence on American highways has largely faded. But for the 1970s and 1980s, Ford was among the top big rig manufacturers in North America, and the machine that carried their flag was built at the world's largest truck factory. The Kentucky Truck Plant in Louisville opened in August 1969 at 2.7 million square feet. At the time, the largest truck manufacturing facility on Earth. John Van Vactor, the plant's first manager, had argued successfully that Louisville's workforce had the experience and the culture to build great trucks, and he was right. The L-Series, colloquially known as the Louisville line after their assembly location, debuted for 1970 in 4 size ranges and 2 hood lengths. The L in L-Series stood for Louisville, and the designation stuck so firmly that for the truck's second generation in 1996, Ford officially renamed the product line the Louisville. The LTL-9000 was the long-haul flagship of the Louisville line, a long-hood conventional designed for cross-country owner-operators who needed power, comfort, and durability. When it debuted in 1976, it was specifically marketed toward cross-country drivers as a machine worthy of competing with Kenworth, Peterbilt, and Mack for the owner-operator's attention and dollars. Engine options spanned Detroit Diesel, Cummins, and Caterpillar power plants throughout its production life, all matched to heavy-duty Eaton Fuller transmissions. Operators who ran LTL-9000s found them difficult to let go. Forum discussions from working truckers document LTL-9000s with over 1 million miles, still running coal hauling routes in the Appalachians, grossing 150,000 pounds with frames and cabs that remained, in owners' words, solid and tight. In 1996, Ford sold its heavy truck operations to Freightliner, and production ended in 1998, the trucks re-entering production as Sterling trucks before that line ended in 2009. The LTL-9000 name is gone, the trucks are not. They appear at truck shows as the sole Ford representative in a parking lot of Kenworths and Peterbilts, carrying the Blue Oval's heavy truck legacy to audiences who had forgotten Ford ever built something this serious. Number 6. The White Road Commander. The White Motor Company of Cleveland, Ohio, was one of the most ambitious truck manufacturers in American history. Founded in 1900 by Thomas H. White, whose family had already made a fortune in sewing machines, White became the #1 maker of trucks in America after World War I, eventually selling 10% of every truck produced in the United States. During World War II, the company ranked 54th among all American corporations by value of military production contracts, manufacturing half-tracks and heavy vehicles alongside their commercial line. White's post-war strategy was unlike any other manufacturer's. Rather than building a single product line, they built an empire of brands. Sterling was acquired in 1951, Autocar in 1950, and in 1967, White launched the Western Star division specifically to sell trucks in the western United States. Through most of the 1970s, White operated what became known as the Big Four, White Autocar, Diamond Reo, and Western Star, as their truck portfolio, distributed through a network that rivaled any single-brand manufacturer. The White Road Commander was the flagship of White's own brand highway tractor line, a conventional cab Class 8 truck that competed directly with the Kenworth W900, Peterbilt 359, and Mack Superliner for owner-operator business. Powered by Cummins, Detroit Diesel, and Caterpillar engines, the Road Commander was engineered to the premium standard that White's position as industry leader demanded. The cab design was refined, the interior was genuinely comfortable, and the mechanical specification could be customized to whatever the buyer required. By 1980, White was insolvent, the result of aggressive acquisitions, inflation, and competition from manufacturers operating at greater economies of scale. AB Volvo acquired White's U.S. assets in 1981. For a period in the 1980s, trucks were produced as Volvo White, then merged with GMC's heavy truck business in 1987 to form Volvo GM. By 1996, Volvo had dropped the White name entirely, but the surviving Road Commanders from the 1970s and early 1980s are genuine collector pieces, the flagship product of a company that briefly controlled more truck brands than any other manufacturer in American history. Number 5. The Autocar AP series. The Autocar Company has a claim that no other truck manufacturer anywhere in the world can match. It is the oldest vehicle nameplate in America, still in active use today. The company was founded in October 1897 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as the Pittsburgh Motor Vehicle Company. It was renamed Autocar in 1899 when it moved to Ardmore, Pennsylvania. In 1899, Autocar built the first motor truck ever produced commercially for sale in North America. In 1901, Autocar built the first car in North America to use shaft drive, a vehicle now preserved in the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. Autocar became the first company in the United States to exclusively manufacture trucks designed for commercial purposes. In 1953, White Motor Company acquired Autocar and moved production to a new facility in Exton, Pennsylvania, positioning the brand as White's top-of-the-line product. And in 1957, Autocar introduced the AP series, a range of trucks for extreme-duty on- and off-road construction, mining, logging, and oil field applications that made everything else in the industry look modest. The AP 40-ton capacity, the most extreme member of the AP series, was the largest single-engine vehicle in the world at the time of its introduction. The most spectacular AP series machine was the AP-19T, a configuration with a 900,000-pound gross combination weight, a 30,000-pound tubular front axle, planetary rear axles rated at 200,000 pounds, and originally powered by a 525-horsepower Cummins V12 diesel. That engine was later replaced with a 6-cylinder Cummins KT rated at 750 horsepower. During World War II, before the AP era, but demonstrating the company's established military credentials, Autocar had supplied more than 37,000 armored half-trucks, all-wheel drive prime movers, and standard models to the U.S. military, ranking 85th among all American corporations in the value of war production contracts. During the company's entire pre-war history, it had built only 70,000 total units. In a few years of wartime production, it nearly doubled that lifetime total. The Exton plant closed in 1980, with production moving to Ogden, Utah, before Volvo acquired White's assets in 1981. Through subsequent ownership changes, Autocar survived and was eventually purchased by GVW Group in Today, the Autocar brand is still actively manufacturing trucks, still the oldest vehicle nameplate in America, still building for severe-duty vocational applications, still displaying the iconic Autocar bow tie logo on every truck that leaves the factory. Number 4. The Reo Speed Wagon. Before we get to the Reo Speed Wagon as a heavy-duty big rig, we have to acknowledge the historical weight this name carries. Ransom E. Olds, the man who founded Oldsmobile, was pushed out of it and then founded an entirely new company using his own initials in Lansing, Michigan in 1904, introduced the Reo Speed Wagon in 1915. It was a 3/4-ton truck with a front-mounted inline 4-cylinder engine, producing 25 horsepower. It was lighter, faster, and more capable than anything else in its class, and it was so successful in so many individual variations that historians credit it as a foundational influence on the concept of the light-duty pickup truck as it exists today. But Reo's heavy trucks, the machines that competed with Mack and International for serious commercial work, are the subject of this segment. By the 1950s, Reo was building Class 8 conventionals with Cummins and Detroit diesel power that earned the company a devoted following in the construction industry, particularly on the East Coast. The E-Series conventionals introduced in 1962, available in 43 models with 7 gasoline power plants and 14 diesel options including Cummins, Detroit, and Perkins, gave fleet operators remarkable flexibility to specify exactly the truck their application demanded. Heavy-duty configurations with 6x4, 6x6, and 8x6 axle arrangements were standard catalog offerings, not special orders. The Reo factory in Lansing was a genuine institution, and the clubhouse built in 1927 for Reo workers was equally remarkable. It featured 4 bowling alleys, a 2,000-seat dining room, an auditorium, a fireproof movie booth, a smoking lounge, and Lansing's first radio station, WREO, which launched in 1921. Ransom Olds understood that loyal workers built better trucks, and he built a facility that reflected that belief in concrete and steel. The Reo Motor Car Company plant was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1978, more than a decade after production ended, a recognition that the site represented something genuinely significant in American industrial history. Number 3. The GMC General. While the Astro 95 represented GM's cab-over ambitions, the GMC General was the company's answer to the Kenworth W900 and Peterbilt 359, a conventional hood Class 8 truck designed to compete for the owner-operator's business in the market segment that mattered most. The GMC General was assembled with an aluminum cab, a significant weight advantage that translated directly into payload capacity, and offered in long hood configurations that gave it the visual presence that conventional truck buyers demanded. Detroit diesel engines, Cummins power plants, and Caterpillar options gave buyers the same freedom to specify their preferred powertrain that Kenworth and Peterbilt offered. The GMC brand, with its traditional corporate dealer network and parts support infrastructure, made service and maintenance straightforward across North America. The General never achieved the cult status of the Kenworth W900 or the Peterbilt 379. It was built by a company that saw heavy trucks as one product line among many, rather than the company's entire reason for existence. That difference in corporate commitment showed in the level of customization available and in the depth of the enthusiast community that formed around the truck. But the General was a genuinely capable machine, well-engineered, durable, and competitive, and the surviving examples from its decade of production represent an important chapter in American trucking that GMC's exit from the heavy truck segment has largely overshadowed. When the Volvo-GM joint venture was created in 1986, GM's heavy truck products were folded into the new entity. The GMC General, the Astro 95, and the Brigadier were all discontinued. General Motors has not returned to the Class 8 segment since. The trucks that remain are the only evidence of what could have been, a major American automotive corporation building world-class heavy trucks alongside its passenger vehicles and light trucks. Number 2. The White Western Star. When White Motor Company launched the Western Star division in 1967, building trucks in Kelowna, British Columbia, specifically for operators in the Western United States and Canada, they created something that would outlast White itself by decades. The Western Star philosophy was simple and absolute: build the strongest possible truck for the most demanding possible conditions, and make no compromises for the sake of cost or weight reduction. The early White Western Star trucks used cabs from Autocar, White's premium brand, combined with the heavy-gauge steel construction, the overbuilt frame rails, and the severe-duty running gear that loggers, miners, and oil field operators in the Pacific Northwest, British Columbia, and Alberta demanded. These were machines designed for roads that would destroy ordinary trucks, in climates that tested every component to its limits, in applications where a breakdown could mean a truck sitting in a remote forest or oil field for days waiting for parts and service to reach it. When White went insolvent in 1980 and Volvo acquired the U.S. assets, Western Star was separated from the deal, sold to Bow Valley Resources and Nova Corporation, who kept the Kelowna plant running under the Western Star nameplate. This independence allowed the brand to maintain its uncompromising engineering philosophy rather than being absorbed into a larger corporation's cost reduction priorities. The trucks built in Kelowna in the late 1970s and early 1980s, the final years of the White Western Star era, are particularly prized by collectors and working operators for the combination of Autocar-derived cab quality with the extreme duty specification that the Western Canadian market demanded. Western Star's subsequent history, purchased by Daimler Trucks North America, expanded to international markets, still in active production today, is a testament to the durability of that original 1967 concept. The idea of building a truck without compromise has proved more resilient than the company that invented it. Number 1. The Autocar A model. While the AP series represented Autocar's most extreme engineering achievement, the A model was the truck that earned Autocar's reputation in the daily working world, a custom-engineered machine that the company built to each buyer's individual specifications, in a tradition that dated to the company's earliest days and that no other mainstream American truck manufacturer has ever replicated. The Autocar custom engineering philosophy was not marketing language. It was a literal description of how the company operated. Operators came to Autocar with a specific application, a construction job, a mining operation, a refuse collection route, a logging contract, and Autocar's engineers designed a truck for that application from the axles up, not a truck from a catalog with options checked. A truck engineered for a purpose. This approach produced machines of extraordinary specific capability that no catalog-built truck could match for their intended work. When Autocar introduced the A model in the early 1950s with aluminum frames and aluminum cabs that kept weight down while maintaining the structural integrity required for severe duty applications, they were offering weight savings that significantly increased payload capacity. White's Mustang engine was available, alongside Cummins and Detroit diesel options, some turbocharged to 600 horsepower, a remarkable power figure for the mid-1950s. The result was a truck that could carry more, work harder, and last longer in its specific application than any truck built to a universal specification. In World War II, Autocar supplied over 37,000 vehicles to the military. In doing so, the company built in roughly 4 years nearly as many vehicles as it had produced in the entirety of its commercial existence to that point. The manufacturing expertise and engineering discipline required to achieve that feat translated directly into the quality of the A model's construction. These were trucks built by people who understood what it meant to build something that couldn't fail. The Exton, Pennsylvania plant that produced the A model closed in 1980, but the Autocar name survived. Through Volvo ownership, through a sale to GVW Group in 2001, and into the present day, where Autocar trucks are still being custom engineered and built for severe-duty vocational applications in Birmingham, Alabama. The oldest vehicle nameplate in America is still working, just like the best of the old iron it grew from. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.